A man's silence when he misses you is louder than his words. There is a depth to that silence that carries more weight than anything he could ever speak. Words are easy, they can be dressed, manipulated, and wrapped in comfort or lies. But silence, his silence, is raw, unfiltered, and honest. It is the unspoken truth that escapes the shield of pride and ego. When a man truly misses you, he might not always rush to confess it. He may not write you paragraphs or flood you with calls. Instead, his absence of words becomes a language of its own, echoing louder than anything you could hear. His quiet moments are filled with you. His mind drifts to your laugh, your presence, the way you once filled spaces that now feel empty. And though he says nothing, his silence screams your name. A man's silence can be mistaken for indifference, but in reality it often hides the fiercest longing. Men are raised to be tough, to conceal emotion, to act like missing someone makes them weak. That conditioning keeps his mouth closed, but his heart restless. He won't say he's staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., replaying the last conversation you had. He won't admit that every time his phone buzzes, he hopes it's you. He won't tell you how often he scrolls back through your old pictures, holding on to a moment in time that keeps him connected to what he's lost. Instead, he keeps silent, trying to convince himself that he's stronger than the ache. But in truth, that silence is his confession. When a man misses you, his silence is not empty. It is full of thoughts he can't put into words, emotions too heavy for his pride to carry openly. You will notice it in his hesitation when he sees your name, in the way he lingers before sending a short, meaningless message just to test the waters. You will feel it in the way he watches from a distance, showing no reaction but quietly consuming everything you share, as though each post is a breadcrumb leading him back to you. Silence becomes his refuge, but also his punishment. Because while he thinks he's hiding his longing, what he's really doing is drowning in it. There is a loneliness that sits inside a man when he misses someone he can't easily reach. He will distract himself with work, friends, even temporary pleasures, but nothing can substitute the void left by the one he craves. He may laugh in public, but his laughter feels hollow. He may stand tall, but the weight of missing you bends him inside. His silence in those moments is not weakness. It is proof of how deeply he feels. Words are not enough, so he chooses none. Yet that choice speaks volumes. Women often misinterpret a man's silence as detachment. They think he doesn't care, that he's moved on, that he's unbothered. But more often than not, his silence is the only way he knows to protect himself from vulnerability. Men are not taught to lean into their emotions. They are taught to endure them quietly. So instead of reaching out with raw honesty, he buries his feelings under silence, hoping the ache will fade, yet it never does. Missing someone is not a wound that time instantly heals. It lingers, gnaws, and demands attention in ways silence cannot fully contain. Silence becomes the unspoken bridge between what he feels and what he fears. He fears rejection, fears losing the last fragments of pride he holds, fears exposing the depth of his heart only to be met with indifference. So he chooses quiet, but in that quiet, the truth is louder than any declaration of love, because if he didn't care, he wouldn't stay silent. He wouldn't be battling with himself over whether to reach out. He wouldn't pause at the thought of you. He wouldn't avoid words because they might betray him. His silence is the proof that he is consumed. Think of the man who misses someone but never says it. He might pass by places you once shared, standing still as if waiting for the air to bring you back. He might scroll through his phone, typing a message, then erasing it a dozen times. He might stay up late, his mind restless with everything he wants to say but can't. And through it all, he stays quiet. Yet that quiet is not peace. It is chaos disguised as calm. He carries the weight of missing you in silence, but that silence screams. A man's silence when he misses you can be the loudest plea for connection. It is not a lack of feeling but an overflow of it. Sometimes he believes silence preserves his dignity. Sometimes he thinks it spares him pain. But what he fails to realize is that his silence exposes him more than his words ever could. His avoidance, his hesitations, his restless energy all betray the truth. Silence does not protect him from being seen. It amplifies what he tries to hide. When you understand this, you realize that silence is not emptiness. It is presence, a presence that lingers even when words are absent. If he didn't miss you, he would not fall silent. He would move on without pause, without hesitation, without resistance. Silence only belongs to the man who feels too much and fears too much to admit it. It is his unspoken cry, his hidden vulnerability, his way of saying, "You matter more than I can let myself show." And perhaps that is why a man's silence cuts so deeply, because in it lies the raw, unfiltered truth. He misses you. He may never confess it directly. He may never voice it in words, but his silence will reveal what his pride hides. Listen closely, because silence, when born of longing, is never quiet. It speaks in sleepless nights, in distracted days, in the pauses that say more than sentences. A man's silence when he misses you is louder than his words, because silence has no script. It is the sound of his heart uncovered. Distance magnifies presence, making memories feel sharper than reality. When someone you love is far away, the absence is not just physical. It lives in your chest, in your thoughts, in the quiet moments where the world slows down and memories rush in like tides. Distance is a strange teacher. It takes away the daily comforts of presence, but replaces them with a deeper awareness of how much someone means. When you are close to someone, you often take their presence for granted. The way they smile, the sound of their voice, the comfort of their touch, it becomes so normal that you stop noticing its weight. But the moment distance settles in, those very details become treasures, magnified in your memory, so sharp and vivid they almost hurt. The human heart has a way of amplifying what it loses. Distance creates silence, and in that silence, your mind fills the space with every memory that mattered. You remember the little things more than the big ones, the casual moments, the unspoken glances, the laughter that came naturally. In distance, those moments play on repeat, sharper than reality itself, because the imagination holds them tightly, polishing them until they become perfect, untouchable. What once felt ordinary suddenly feels extraordinary when it is out of reach. Distance also tests the soul. It strips away the superficial and leaves only the core truth. How much that person matters to you. It's easy to overlook someone's presence when they're near, but when they're gone, every detail becomes amplified. You remember the warmth of their voice, and suddenly even silence feels cold. You recall their scent, and the memory alone can ignite emotions stronger than being there in the moment ever did. The mind has this ability to turn memories into something almost greater than reality, because in absence, nothing interrupts the way you idealize them. There are no arguments, no mundane distractions, no flaws, only the best moments frozen in time. This magnification can be both beautiful and painful. Beautiful because it shows the depth of love and connection, how deeply you've been marked by someone's presence. Painful because the distance denies you the comfort of their reality. You are left holding on to shadows that feel sharper than the person themselves. It is a paradox. You feel them more intensely in their absence than you did in their presence. Every memory becomes a reminder of what you once had and what you desperately wish you still could. For many, distance becomes the truest test of connection. If the bond is shallow, absence breaks it. But if it is real, absence strengthens it. Distance forces you to rely on memories, conversations, and patience. It demands faith, that what you feel is worth enduring the ache of separation. And in enduring it, you grow stronger, more certain, more aware of just how deeply this person has embedded themselves in your heart. Distance magnifies presence not just because it sharpens memories, but because it reveals what presence truly meant in the first place. When two people are apart, their interactions become magnified as well. A simple text feels like a gift. A short call carries the weight of 1,000 words. A glimpse of a picture becomes a spark that keeps the flame alive. In reality, these moments are small, but distance transforms them into lifelines. They become reminders that even though miles separate you, presence can still exist in fragments. And sometimes, those fragments feel sharper than the whole. Distance also rewrites how you view time. Minutes drag longer without them, and yet memories from the past feel fresher, closer, as if they just happened yesterday. It's as though distance bends the timeline, making yesterday's moments feel like today's lifeline. You find yourself living in memories because they bring you closer to the person you miss, even when reality denies you that closeness. The sharper the memory, the more alive the person feels in your heart, and the more you long to bridge the gap. But there is also a hidden beauty in distance. It teaches gratitude. Presence becomes sacred when it's no longer guaranteed. You learn to value what you once overlooked. You realize how much their laughter filled a room, how their presence steadied you in ways you didn't notice before. Distance magnifies these truths, showing you that love is not about constant possession, but about deep connection. And when you finally reunite, the presence feels overwhelming, like stepping into sunlight after endless days of rain. You see them not with the eyes of habit, but with the eyes of gratitude, sharpened by longing and remembrance. In many ways, distance is both cruel and kind. Cruel because it separates what belongs together. Kind because it reveals the strength of the bond. It magnifies presence to remind you that love is not fragile, that true connections can withstand the test of absence. It carves out space in your heart where that person lives, sharper than any reality could make them, so that even when they're far away, they are never truly gone. Memories sharpen because the heart clings to what it loves most. Reality fades, routines change, but the memory of someone you long for becomes untouchable, almost sacred. And in those moments when you close your eyes, distance collapses. You can hear them, feel them, sense them as if they are right beside you. That is the power of distance. It forces you inward, into the sanctuary of memory, where presence is eternal and sharper than the fleeting touch of reality. Distance magnifies presence because it awakens the truth we often ignore, that love is not measured in proximity, but in the way someone imprints on your soul. And when someone has imprinted that deeply, even distance cannot dull them. Instead, it sharpens every memory, making it brighter, louder, more alive than reality itself. It is the paradox of love. Sometimes you feel someone more when they are gone than when they are here. And it is in that paradox that you discover the depth of your heart. When he misses you, pride battles vulnerability, but his actions always reveal the truth. A man can armor himself with silence, he can bury his feelings beneath a mountain of distractions, he can even tell himself that he is strong enough not to care, but the human heart betrays every defense. Missing someone is not something that can be hidden forever. Pride may push him to act indifferent, to convince the world and himself that he is unshaken, but when the nights grow quiet, when his thoughts are left unchecked, vulnerability seeps through every crack. And in those moments, his true feelings begin to show, not always in words, but in actions that speak louder than anything he dares admit. Pride is a powerful force in a man's heart. It whispers that reaching out first makes him weak, that confessing how much he misses you strips away his control. Pride tells him to wait, to remain silent, to let you wonder instead of letting you see the ache he carries. This pride comes from years of being told to be strong, to hide emotions, to never let vulnerability define him. So he resists the urge to call, resists the desire to text, resists the impulse to pour out his heart, but the harder he resists, the stronger the pull becomes. That is where the battle begins, between the armor of pride and the raw truth of vulnerability. When a man misses you, he might not say it directly, but you will feel it in the way he hovers near your world. He may check your social media silently, never liking a post, but always present. He may ask mutual friends about you in a casual tone, pretending it's just conversation, but secretly craving any detail that brings him closer to you. He might show up in places you once shared, lingering as if hoping to catch a glimpse of you by chance. These are not accidents. These are actions born of longing, even if his pride refuses to let him admit it. Vulnerability, on the other hand, is what he fears most. To say, "I miss you" out loud means risking rejection, risking the possibility that you no longer feel the same. Vulnerability exposes him, strips away his armor, and leaves him standing in front of you with nothing but honesty. For many men, that kind of naked truth feels unbearable. So instead, he hides behind pride. But hiding does not erase what he feels, it only delays it. The more he suppresses, the louder the emotions roar inside him. And eventually, they spill out in subtle ways that reveal the truth no matter how much he tries to contain it. You will notice it in his restlessness. He may suddenly pick up habits to distract himself, working longer hours, overfilling his schedule, surrounding himself with people who don't truly satisfy the emptiness he feels. Yet despite all the noise, there are moments when his mind drifts back to you. You will see it in his eyes when your name comes up, in the pause before he answers, in the slight change in his tone. His actions betray him because longing cannot be disguised forever. Pride may silence his words, but vulnerability leaks out through every unguarded gesture. When a man misses you, even his indifference can reveal the truth. Sometimes he will act colder than usual, trying to convince both himself and you that he has moved on. But that coldness is rarely genuine. It is a mask, a defense mechanism against the ache he feels. True indifference is quiet and detached, but forced indifference is sharp, reactive, and heavy with unspoken emotion. He may act as though he doesn't care, but if he truly didn't, he wouldn't try so hard to show it. His actions, whether in lingering silence, unnecessary distance, or overcompensation, become proof of what his pride refuses to let him admit. The conflict between pride and vulnerability is universal, but it becomes clearest in the ways he interacts with the world around him. He may start to remember details of your shared past, holding onto objects, songs, or places that remind him of you. He might slip into conversations with subtle references, testing the waters to see if you respond. Sometimes he will even reach out under the guise of something casual, pretending it's no big deal when in reality, it's the boldest step he could take in that moment. Pride tells him to disguise it. Vulnerability pushes him to act anyway, and those small actions, those little cracks in his armor, reveal more truth than pride can ever conceal. At times, missing you will make him quieter, as though silence can shield him. But silence itself is an action. The way he withdraws, the way he pauses before responding, the way he disappears only to reappear when you least expect it. All of it is movement guided by emotion. He may not tell you with words, but his silence speaks. It speaks of the battle raging inside him, of the vulnerability he cannot contain, of the pride he cannot surrender. It is the language of longing wrapped in restraint. In truth, actions always win over pride. A man can tell himself that he will not break, but sooner or later, the way he behaves betrays the truth. Missing someone cannot be hidden forever. It leaks into the way he looks at you, the way he hesitates to let you go, the way he holds onto small fragments of connection. Pride may stall vulnerability, but it cannot erase it. His actions, whether subtle or bold, become the trail that reveals the truth he cannot voice. What makes this battle so powerful is that it reflects the deepest human struggle, the desire to protect oneself versus the desire to connect. Pride is self-preservation, vulnerability is connection. When he misses you, he is torn between the two. But love, longing, and truth live in vulnerability. That is why, no matter how hard he fights to maintain pride, his actions slowly shift toward revealing what he feels. It may not always be grand gestures. It could be as small as a late night text, a saved picture, or a look in his eyes. But those small cracks are where the truth escapes. Ultimately, when he misses you, you will know. His words may hide, his pride may resist, but his actions will speak for him. He may try to stay distant, but he will always circle back. He may pretend he is strong without you, but the subtle ways he lingers around your world will prove otherwise. Pride battles vulnerability, but vulnerability always finds a way to break through because the truth cannot stay buried forever. And when it comes to missing someone, the truth always rises louder and clearer than any silence pride can build.